Welcome back, cultural resetters. You already know who it is, but I'll tell you anyways. It's Nick and Shay. We're here again with another amazing artist. I'm really excited to present to you all the way from our hometown of, well, not hometown, home state of Michigan is Recknow, aka Brandon. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm so honored to be here. Thank you.
I am so excited to have you here. And I kind of want to start off with a bigger question, which is just like, what is it like to be a queer icon, specifically in EDM? Like working with so many queer icons.
I don't know if we're there yet. You know what I mean? Like we've got some more iconery to be working towards, but like I really appreciate that. That means a lot to me. It feels crazy to even just be getting to make an impact in a scene that I like care so much about. Like I grew up going to festivals and stuff by the time I was like 15. So being part of maybe a younger person or someone who's getting into it, like a form of representation for queer people, it means a lot to me because I don't feel like I had a lot of that in the scene when I was coming into it around like 2011, 2012. And yeah, it's just like surreal, honestly.
Well, you've really filled the space.
Thank you.
To say, yeah, you claim your space and it's awesome to see. So you said that you got your start back in about 2012.
Yeah.
How did your creative journey begin?
So I probably started, well, I was like a dancer by the time I was like 15. And like, I knew I wanted to like be a performer in some way, shape or form. But I didn't start working with like DJing until like 2015 and then working in like actually producing probably like by 2017. And then like before that, my brother and I, like he started producing in FL Studio probably when he was 18 and I was like 13. So I already had the experience of like getting in the closet and like recording, and like we would always just make these like fun little songs, honestly. So I've had the like, you know, a long journey kind of like just different creative outlets. Like I was a flow artist, I was like a hula hooper, and like all these kind of things that led into being now where I'm at as a performer and like a writer and musician. And these last 2 years specifically have been very like pivotal moments and like times of growth. So to be where we're at now and release an EP that's like has my voice on all of it, and it's like produced by me and like friends of mine, it just is like feels fucking amazing, honestly.
The EP being Pansy.
Yes, Pansy EP.
Yes, I wanted to talk about that because I listened to it for the first time, and one, obviously it's incredible, right? But I have so many questions. One for you, like as an artist in general. This is more of a broad question, but like I noticed that a lot of the songs on the album have collaborations.
Yeah,
right? Collabing with a lot of artists. For you as an artist, do you prefer to collab or do you prefer to work alone? Are there different sort of like creative modes that you're in that dictate like whether you want to work with somebody else or work alone?
I feel like I really like collaborating personally, just because like, I mean, it's been a long journey with production in general, but like, I'm like finally to the point where like, you know, I'm actually able to like give my all in a production sense. And like, but my thing is that like, I love what I'm been doing with vocals and working with a lot of other people who like, I mean, there's at least 4 other vocal contributions on this from people. And like, I just think for me, it's like, it's just kind of like a crossover thing where I'm like, I like really like want to be working in bass music, but I don't want the entire thing to just be like only bass music. Like I'd like to be able to give like these little gay bops, like with friends of mine who I know are like awesome vocalists and like super empowered as queer people. And I think that's just like been a focal point of the focus for like this EP specifically. But I also do like, I love making songs by myself as well. But I'd like working with friends too.
It's always fun to work with other people, I think. You know, that element of collaboration always spices things up. You know, it's several different forms and perspectives that are brought together. And I think you brought in some really amazing perspectives, specifically like Miss Tiddy, also a fan of Miss Tiddy. And you know, I actually, when I discovered you, it was earlier this year, and it was through GRIZ because I listen to GRIZ all the time.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I mean, I know you're from Michigan and I know you've worked with GRIZ, so maybe you know Electric Forest Music Festival. But
I was raised 30 minutes north of Electric Forest Music Festival. So
okay.
I was like in Manistee right here. So that was the first festival I attended when I was 15 years old. So I went there from like 15 until like 2019. I've been there like almost every year other than maybe one. So that's my stomping grounds.
Oh, we have crossed paths.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I grew up like, well, I mean, going to Manistee all the time. That was like our go-to.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in like, you know, I hate doing this because it's so Michigan.
Everybody.
I know. It's like
our map.
It's just easier. I'm sorry.
It is.
Yeah, I grew up in like, it's called Ortonville.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. But I would go up to Lake Michigan. Honestly, my soul belongs to Northern Michigan.
Mine too. It's really nice to not be there as like a queer person. I live in Ann Arbor now, and it's like just very liberal. It definitely is like a weight lifted from being up in rural Michigan. But whenever I go home, the nature is like always just like, it's like a big hug. I don't know. I love it up there.
I finally got to go home for a little bit and it was really nice. Like Michigan is always there waiting for us, and that's so comforting.
It is.
Sorry, a little bit
of everybody's getting so sentimental about Michigan.
I know, that was like Michiganders.
I know, but how could we not? So I did want to ask what it was like working with GRIZ, because like you know, GRIZ has been headlining at Electric Forest, so you've been attending that festival and then you got to work with GRIZ.
Yeah, that was funny. I just like, because we just got to perform Medusa for the second time like 2 nights ago, and right before I was going on stage, I try not to like get too lost in the moment sometimes because I want to like be able to be present. But like I had a moment where I was like, bitch, how many times did you see GRIZ at Electric Forest? Now you're standing here waiting for him to like call you on stage right now. Like those, I always have those moments personally. And working with Grant has been literally a fucking blessing. He is like just an amazing human being. And he's very giving with just like his creative process. And I remember telling him in 2019, before I started like really getting comfortable recording my vocals, I just remember being like, I'm gonna be like gay white Lizzo, Grant, like it's gonna be a thing. Like I was like, I swear I have this message and this idea of what I'm gonna do. And he was just like, you know, awesome, do it. And like for him a year later to be like, hey, I have this idea for Medusa, I think you should be a part of it. It's just changed my life. So thank you, Grant. I love you.
Wow. Is there like a sense of community there?
I like, I mean, with Grant or like, just like,
with the artists that you collab with.
Oh, absolutely. I think now, even just like the other night, like Closey was there with us, and then like Muzzy was also there. It's just like the most, for me personally, where I've been around out and proud artists, like in all of just like hanging out, but like in general, I think the more that we're like working together, and I don't know, I just have a lot of friends that I've been working with that are like queer or trans, or like I've just been very, very lucky in that way. So like I think like as we keep going, the community is naturally like starting to be felt more. And I'm very excited to see where dance music goes from here, just because there's so many awesome up and coming queer, non-binary, you know, trans musicians that are getting the spotlight that they deserve. And yeah, we're in a good time right now, I think.
Yes.
Speaking of that dance aspect as well, I know that one of the songs on your EP is called Freaknik.
Yes.
And I was curious, why did you decide to name that track Freaknik? I know, like, definitely dance music.
Yes. So, like, Jeffo, who produced the song with me, it was like me and Jeffo worked on the song together. He goes by Whom. He's an Atlanta native. So, like, he grew up just like always hearing about Freaknik parties, and just like, you know, that was part of like what always inspired him. And like the more I looked into it too, the more like I just know he made that song based off of like the energy that he felt was like impacted by those Freaknik parties that were had by, like, you know, mostly POC, and just like these awesome groups that, you know, it was like almost like not like a protest, but it's just like this like underground getting to like go ham type parties. So that was very much the inspiration. We just wanted to bring the bounce like energy and just kind of in a way try to pay respect to like that kind of energy.
I felt that energy in that song because, like, I mean, growing up black, like, you know, I'm young, I'm like 22. Like, I've never been to a Freaknik party because, you know, I think they just recently started back up, like July
Yeah.
2019, I think was the most recent one.
Mhm.
But they stopped in like 1999. So, like, it's kind of like a legend growing up, like hearing what these Freaknik parties were like and how
Absolutely.
loud they were. And I just felt like that whole track, like, really kind of encompassed what I always imagined it to be.
That
Like, it,
makes my heart happy because that's where, I mean, me and Jeffo talked about it too. Cause like, I was like, I don't know, we were just like making sure that we both felt like it was like worthy of that name as well. We were like, you know, trying to make sure we were like paying full respect and homage. And I'm that makes me happy to hear, honestly, because I felt like that was like the one that I would go back and just repeat in my car and just be like, okay, all
no,
right.
you definitely justice, like a lot of justice. So, thank you for that.
You have a lot of very good time music. Your music makes people dance. And
Party girls, where are we at?
I'll be in the club with you. Sorry, that's
No, I love that.
Oh, okay, I'm gonna center myself again. I have a question. It's kind of like a serious question, so it's gonna take the vibe a different place.
No, it's totally okay. I'm like really good at like switching vibes sometimes.
Okay, all right. So I know there's a lot of collaboration specifically in queer EDM realm, but I'm wondering if there's also competition because, you know, one thing across the music industry is making it competitive almost, which is why, you know, sometimes you don't see artists collabing as much because it feels like you can't work together with this person when you're like pinned against them. But I don't see that as much in EDM, and I'm wondering if you do.
I think like I think music and just like anything can like if you want to be the best at what you're doing, it's you can breed competition in any like outlet, I feel. So like yeah, there's like definitely competitive energy sometimes when it comes to just like wanting to do well. But I think where a lot of for me, some of the best art has been made out of like not worrying about how good something's gonna do and mostly just making these connections with people of just like the bottom line, we want to create something special or something cool together that we're both happy about. Like, I guess I haven't really dealt with it too much. Like, I haven't really felt like it was like a really like dog eat dog type energy or anything like that. But I mean, it's the music industry. So, you know, you want to succeed. I'm sure there's like, it can be lurking around any corner, I guess.
But I feel like since your experience was so positive, you know, I feel like that's a sign that the industry is sort of making that shift that we've been talking about on this platform.
I agree. Absolutely. I think definitely too. I mean, it's just what you make it. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of people who don't like go by the specific normal like music industry journey that we all like maybe hear about like from huge celebrities and superstars, you know? Like being in EDM, it's just like it's kind of your I don't know, it's its own little realm. So like I don't know, it's for me, I've been very lucky and you know, some shit happens. Maybe you make friendships or work with people, you realize you don't want to work with them anymore. That stuff, that's just life. But I mean, it's I've been relatively very lucky to not feel like very like jaded by the music industry.
I'm almost wondering why that is. I mean, like, not to be
I mean, it's shit too. Don't get me wrong, but like
Yeah.
also, I mean, I I don't know. I've also been very lucky this last year. So, and I've had a relatively small window of time of actually traveling where I made kind of this like really quick impact where I was like traveling a lot more and doing a lot more at a very quick pace, I feel, on my end. So I've just been seeing a lot of the fruits of it rather than maybe some of the worst aspects yet. But I'm sure they'll come.
Yeah. I mean, there is a chance. I don't want you to feel like you're heading into this cloud.
Right.
Because I'll also say, like my experience with music festivals has been very positive surrounding EDM. Although, as we've recently discovered in this past year, there's also been a lot of, under the surface issues with EDM.
Yeah.
And so I'm just fascinated, I think, by the EDM culture because it almost does feel a little bit separated from, you know, like your hits, your pops, your
Absolutely.
raps. It feels like a whole realm in itself, and I would like to feel like it's, you know, it'll stay like that.
Yeah, no, I feel, well, like there is like EDM, like parts of EDM that you can clearly cross over into the mainstream. So it's like really just as far as you take it. But for me personally, I want to be able to do both. Like I really like, the reason we wanted to do a whole EP that was focused on vocals as well is just because like I want to get in the studio with some badass writers and some badass producers that like have the ear for pop music and stuff like that as well, outside of bass music. But I also just want it to be a dance party at all times. So
yeah, I sensed that honestly when I was listening to Pansy, because one of the things that I noticed was that, you know, you're rapping on this album. There's a lot of rapping happening on this album, and like that, like, you know, like Shay was saying, like EDM is kind of like its own little bubble genre, you know, that thrives on its own, but like it usually doesn't interact with like a lot of other things, except like in the early 2010s when we had like the EDM like breakthrough in pop music. I like that. I missed that time.
I also missed that time. Like blasting Clarity by Zed and just like having a spiritual awakening.
Oh my god.
Right? But it's okay.
You can bring that back.
I still do that, so it's fine.
But like, Brandon, like what made you want to kind of incorporate rap into this?
Well, so I started writing raps when I was like probably like 15, and I've always been very inspired by like Mickey Blanco, Cakes to Killa, Brooke Candy was a huge inspiration of mine. Leaf. There's just been like a lot of like queer POC artists that were like outside of my, like, because I was already at festivals by the time I was listening to these artists, but like none of these artists were playing festivals I got to go to because it was not in that realm of EDM. Or like if you got to see those artists, you probably were like Lollapalooza or like Pitchfork or something that was like a little bit more like catered to cities that were hip to it. And like I just always kind of like watched it from afar and was just like so obsessed. Mickey Blanco specifically, always very obsessed with them. Like they're just iconic. And it's just been like, for me, always a goal to figure out how I could make my vocal work like integrated to bass music. And once I started working with Super Future, I finally felt like it was like possible. So I think it's just been like getting more comfortable in the last 2 years with vocals, and I don't know, I'm hoping that people like it. I definitely had some like inner self-doubt right before we released it. I was like, oh shit, what if everybody thinks this is like too extra, way too much? And some people probably do, but like I'm very happy to be exploring that side of what I want to do with my artistry.
I need that extra in my life. Okay, that extra brings out my extra, and
good. That makes me happy.
Yeah,
it really. I didn't even think it was extra, honestly. Like I felt like everything with Pansy just like fit right. Because like sometimes you'll have artists that have never really, you know, because like, you know, with hip hop, you know, anything in hip hop, you have to really like refine your craft before you can really like put pen to paper and like do music.
Yeah.
I'm sure all three of us have heard of artists who, you know, have just decided to start rapping, and then you hear what they release, and it's just like, oh, you could have studied.
Yeah. No, yeah. And I mean, I had those thoughts. I was trying to be very weary of like, this is going to be like something that you need to be like completely proud of and feel like it represents that movement, you know?
But you killed it. Thank you. Like, you did very well. Like,
that means a lot to me.
It was just seamless. So like that's another thing that I appreciated about Pansy that I wanted to throw out there during the interview.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Nick.
I also wanted to specifically shout out Honey Drip, because not only that song, but the story you've built behind that song and just like the fun you've had with it. You know, like in your video shoots and such, like
yeah. That video shoot was like, that was just the moment for us where, well, because we were like, oh, we're gonna get like a little bit of push behind this campaign, and then my manager was going on vacation, and it was kind of like, oh, we're gonna get like a really like good hand here, like where someone's gonna help us out with, you know, getting some better press behind it. So we were like, we need to make a music video, and we kind of planned it in like 2 weeks. And like, it is honestly like my teenage dream come true of just like finally getting to like turn it out for a music video. And I'm very proud of how it
2
turned out.
weeks? I'm impressed by that. I mean, like, it turned out beautifully, aesthetically pleasing. I was talking about how complete it was. So that's how you know you're a true artist. Also, how hard was it to clean up that honey? Like,
so I don't know, because I was on set from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and they didn't do the honey until after I left, which I was very glad, because my mother was on set and it got a little X-rated. So like there was like definitely a lot of footage that was not shown, that's for sure.
oh my
But my mom drove me home, and I remember being like, just hearing that there was like people taking like their third shower and it wasn't coming out of their hair, and I was like, oh my God, I like, thank you, respect, biggest respect to everybody.
good. And now you can say you've done it. And
I was like, everybody, thank you for getting honey dumped on them. And then someone was like, why didn't you get honey poured on you? And I was like, because I don't want to do that.
Some people are willing. I had a question about, you know, with the cultural reset, we really like to highlight the creatives behind the scenes and in front of the scenes, and you know, people that are resetting the industry. And I was wondering if you have anybody that comes to mind when you think of people who are like, you know, getting out there, doing the thing, showing up and resetting the industry.
I am biased, but my manager David is he's a gay boy from the Midwest like me, but he is a big inspiration to me in the industry, just because I know he's been working in it for a long time, and he's been working in it since before it was like much more accepted to be like out and gay. And I can just tell that both of us paired together with our passion for inclusivity and just like pushing these, you know, lines of acceptance and tolerance forward, like we just mesh really well. And like we both kind of like had these ideas of like creating these inclusive signs for each of our like shows that we play, where it's just like the Recknow butterfly, and it's just like no racism, no sexism, no homophobia, et cetera, et cetera. But like the way that we've gotten some of these venues to really take to that, like one of the last venues like put a huge banner up that had it up, and it's just like having someone like David that not only knows the industry aspects of everything and is a good manager, like we're both pushing for this like thing because we want that to be there. And yeah, he's been doing this since before he started with me too, and he was a big part of why there's a certain DJ that is who shall not be named anymore, had a big inclusive aspect to his whole thing, and like people like David were the reason that some of those things were there. So I've just got huge respect for him. And I guess in the musical aspect, I definitely like big respect to Closey and GRIZ right now, just because they're really, as queer people, curating these things so that younger queer artists who are, you know, trying to make it can get more established. And myself and like Notlow and quite a few others are definitely feeling that. So I guess those would be some of the people.
Can I just say, like, I really love the fact that you mentioned somebody who actually works in the music business side of things. It's like our focus is obviously like the creative side of things, but you just kind of demonstrated, you know, the importance of having representation on the music business side. Like having somebody who's POC or LGBTQ kind of behind your back, helping you out with your career, helping you on your journey and your path, and kind of fighting for that same inclusivity that you're fighting for.
Absolutely.
I think it's really key for success too.
It is. And I think my heart has, I mean, as someone who is navigating a business and in an industry that I'm like kind of learning each day as we go how to do things, like I've been offered things that I had like maybe these people telling me, this is the business decision that you should make, this is correct. And then I had like where my heart was, which was like, I knew this relationship I had with my manager was like just so special. And like, I just knew that I needed like that person near me and on my side. And because of following my intuition in that realm, I just feel like things have been like much better. And I can't really, like, honestly, all my entire team is just like very like-minded in that way. And I think it's just really nice to have a core group of people that I can bring like what I want to be doing for these shows, or like you know, making these inclusive decisions to make sure that everybody knows this is like safe space. Like it just is very nice to not be like alone talking to a group of like maybe straight men, sorry, just like saying that to them and then maybe not getting the same like reaction. I've been very lucky to not really have to deal with that. So
yeah, I sometimes we try to communicate with people and they don't have the same context or understanding about identity. It's really hard to communicate. And
absolutely.
It's frustrating. Is that something that you have experienced, like, trying to get through?
Yeah, it definitely, it's just, I've only had like a couple business managers situations and relationships, but like I've definitely I've been like, there's been points where I wasn't to the point where I'm at with my artistry, where you kind of like got exactly what I was doing. I was still mostly just like putting out a few songs here and there. And they're all like bass centered, not like rap or anything. So you couldn't see like the performance aspect of it yet. And like trying to have a group of men, like straight cis men, like brand me, like it was more so like I ended up doing that branding. Like I just was like, let me take care of this, because some of these ideas I'm getting are just like I don't think that you're like seeing it like the proper way, but I had a really short period of time where I was kind of in that limbo of feeling like, man, I don't feel super understood, to like working with people who not only understood, but were like, I got better ideas for you. Like, let's take this up a notch. And I've been really lucky in that regard.
Mm-hmm. I think that it's just as important who you surround yourself with.
Absolutely.
So I kind of wanted to go back to, what you were mentioning about, like young LGBTQ plus youth who are trying to pursue a path in this industry. What advice do you think you would give to them?
I would say just like, I feel like I was networking a lot of the time that I didn't realize I was networking. And it was really just me running around to festivals and stuff that I like loved. Like I made a huge group of I made a huge like ton of connections kind of just from years of running around festivals and not really putting the weight on them. Like I was trying to like make these connections, or more so like I was just making really great friendships. So that was just for me. But I would say the best thing that you can do is that once you start to get a manager or a booking agent, is like follow your intuition. Think about how you want to go through the music industry. Don't let people, I mean, obviously after a certain point, if you believe that's the person you're working with is obviously good to call all the shots and, speak on your behalf, like follow that intuition, but like, make sure nobody's overstepping or like ruining your reputation on like accidentally for you. And I think that's something that when you're starting, you can kind of just be like, oh, this person wants to manage me. But like a lot of people say they want to be managers and stuff. And you can sometimes later on realize, oh shit, that person maybe wasn't who should have been taking care of me or something. So I would just say, yeah, follow your heart and your intuition, just like Jules said.
So, oh my gosh, I had a question for you. Give me a second. Oh, okay. So, you've been going to Electric Forest. You've been working with people from Electric Forest. So when are you performing at Electric Forest?
That's a really good question. Hopefully soon. Once that happens, girl, I'm already had so many things happen that I'm like, if I go like right now, I have done a lot of what I wanted to do and more than I thought I could. So, but Forest, that'll be the first thing that I get to take my mom to. That's like a grand scale production because she's only 30 minutes up the road. So when that happens, it'll be very nice. So let's just keep putting that energy out there that it's gonna happen.
Yeah. Where do you want to take your creative endeavors next?
So like location wise, or just like
location, medium, style?
So like I guess performance wise, what we're working towards right now is always have a mic set up that is like not like, I'll pretty much have a vocoder that I can personally play with like all like during the entire set and manipulate my voice with. That's like kind of the next thing. And then I've been learning piano and got a guitar. So like there's like a lot of things that we're like slowly inkling to when it comes to like performance aspects. But in the next 2 years, we're hoping to get like a stage set up as well and like get to do like a tour. So it's just like slowly but surely we're kind of like, you know, barreling towards that. But right now it's just a lot of going and playing these DJ sets and also rapping during them and kind of getting all my chops up when it comes to like consistency and live performances. And but eventually I want it to be like a whole like jazz hands type entertainment. Like we've got dances, we've got rapping, we've got show. Yeah, I love a show. So you know, we'll get there.
I look forward to it myself. I would really want to go to Electric Forest. I really feel like I really want to go there anyway because
you should go there no matter what.
I talk about it all the time. At this point, Nick, if you don't come, I'll be personally offended.
It is the best. It is truly the best.
Oh yeah, I will definitely come to Electric Forest, and I hope to see you there.
Yes.
Hopefully. Shout out Prize Cart, by the way. Shout out
Prize Cart.
Yes.
What?
That's what I worked for. I worked with Prize Cart.
You worked with Prize Cart?
I was on the megaphone, yeah.
Oh my God. It's just pretty much like this cart of prizes and they just like go Prize Cart for like
bring us, if you pick up trash and bring us trash, we'll give you a prize, and that's how you clean up after sets. Gotta clean up after yourself.
I feel a little bit of FOMO right now.
Okay. Festival sustainability is that's what I'm about.
Absolutely.
Would you ever consider starting some kind of like festival of your own, or like doing something like that, like bringing people together?
Absolutely. I think
collaborators, so I think you're good at that.
Oh, absolutely. I immediately think of like over 25 people that I would be like, oh yeah, we're gonna throw a fucking banger of a festival or something. But I think first I would love to do like a curated, like even just like one-off show where we could get everybody like I immediately think Not Low, Super Future, like there's just those two people in general, like I want to go on tour with them so bad someday. So I'm really hoping that we do get to the point where we can maybe start curating some lineups and getting all the girls paid.
Yes. I have another question. If you don't have one, I want to ask you know, if there's any aspect of either, you know, music industry or music culture that you think is resetting or needs to be reset.
I think Lil Nas right now is resetting. Lil Nas X, absolutely. Yeah, kissing boys on TV. Let's like normalize that, because we've had to watch women kiss on TV for like how long at these awards shows? So like, I don't know. I'm just like here for that. Fucking love Lil Nas X. I get like some shit kind of where people like will be like, oh, he's like way too overly sexual, or like, you know, these like things about my music, which is like understandable if that's not your, you know, bag or anything like that. But I just think more sexually empowered queer musicians is like just deserved at this point. And I'm loving that part of what's going on right now.
I think for Lil Nas too, like that is just like you're talking about the BET Awards, right?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that specifically. So I mean, like the BET Awards, like historically, have kind of been like kind of like socially conservative in that respect.
They have.
So I mean, just like that was huge what Lil Nas did. Like it's even bigger than if he did on the Grammys or something like that. Like doing the BET Awards, like one of the biggest, like it's literally called Culture's Biggest Night. Like that's major. Like that's really, really major. So
absolutely. I don't know, just and also I think with the way that he handles any backlash is always with such like troll grace that it's like I literally it's just like it's the graceful troll, like just like Twitter like just it's amazing. He's just always like fuck it, I don't give a shit. So
we need to coin that term. I wrote it down. I'm gonna use that. I hope you don't mind.
Absolutely.
Troll grace.
But yeah, I mean, for me, I kind of want to just, and I don't know, Shay, did you have any more questions?
I want to know if there was anything that you wanted to bring up. You know, we told you about our platform, what it is that we do. We've had an amazing discussion. I'm so glad that you decided to say yes and talk to us.
Absolutely. This is an honor.
Thank you, Recknow.
Of course, thank you for having me.
Is there anything, maybe, you know, a question for us or something that you would like to mention before we sign off?
Okay, who is your favorite pop girly right now, both of you?
Oh, Doechii.
Doechii?
I like Doechii.
Is she the one who's like,
Doechii.
with two eyes, I get anxious when I'm high? Okay, yeah, I know that one.
Doechii. So when you say pop girly, we're not talking about the super mature like pop megastars, right? We're talking about like the new.
It could be anybody from like Doja Cat to like, you know, Doechii or like Lady Gaga, who is fine eternally, but
you can't go to Beyonce. I'm sorry, Nick. You gotta pick someone else.
Is he gonna say Beyonce? Because always.
Beyonce.
Yeah, because you can't like not love Beyonce.
No, yeah, absolutely. You can say Beyonce because that is always the right answer.
So. But if I had to choose someone else, I have to say Doja Cat's versatility.
I'm gonna say that as well. I feel that
is worthy of mentioning because Doja Cat has proven herself in a variety of different genres, on a variety of different tracks as features and her own solo tracks. Mm-hmm. She can sing, she can rap. She's not in a box at all. She won't confine herself to one.
I love Doja Cat.
New. That's new. So I have to say Doja Cat too.
And also the length at which like we were bopping to So High in 2014, and now like this journey we've been on with Doja Cat, and now she's like playing the Grammys. I'm like, girl,
that's incredible. I feel like I've joined her on this.
Exactly.
Like, I feel like I'm here with her during this journey.
I feel that.
And that's the beauty of being a fan. I love that.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, for all the fans out there of Recknow, there you have it. That was so great. Thank you so much. And for all of our cultural resetters out there, we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.